and we're going to get started. So, my name is Adam, and I'm Plotly's community manager. Over the next hour or so, we're left with like 15 minutes, we will be showcasing a few amazing apps that were built by community members. This challenge focused on the exploration of Michelin-starred restaurants around the world. We're going to conclude the webinar with the latest Plotly features and updates, as well as the upcoming community events. So make sure to stick around all the way to the end. Now let's kick off today's session by introducing Plotly. So you probably know us from the data visualization libraries that you use extensively, but we have been a company in the market for about a decade now, and we still contribute immensely to open source. In fact, our open source library, Plotly, has been downloaded over 500 million times to date. In addition to Plotly visualization, our open source products also include interactive data applications. We actually have a powerful web app framework called Plotly Dash. And to give you a sense of Plotly Dash reputation, I'd like to point out a recent survey by 10,000 Databricks customers conducted by Databricks, who is one of the leading providers of data science and machine learning technologies. Accompanying us today, we have 5 guest speakers and app authors. Gab Albini, a senior solutions engineer at Databricks. Felipe Forero Meola, a backend developer at Copenhagen Offshore Partners. Then we have Niels Flashel, head of data science at Bling Rock. Let's move it to the next slide, please. Thank you, Teresa. Jan Niklas Walters, a digital solutions engineer at Verbund AG. And Ian Wood, a student of applied mathematics and computer science. All right, so now that we have all our speakers, we're going to start with our first app, and I am particularly excited about this first app that we're going to show you because it does something unique by using the screen view as filters. Here to speak about the app, we have Jan and Felipe. Hey Jan, hey Felipe, how are you?
Hi Adam, thanks for having us.
Of course. I'm gonna go to the script here. All right, so before you show us the app, how do you two, Jan and Felipe, how do you two know each other, and how did you start using Plotly and Dash?
Yeah, so I'll just take this one. So Felipe and I, we used to be co-workers at my previous job in Copenhagen. And part of our work was to create dashboards in Power BI, but we encountered some limitations in the map-related project. And I've been playing around with Dash before, so we just decided to give it a try. And it worked out nicely. And so Dash grew more and more into a standard tool set that we were using. Then I left the country and the job, but I stayed in contact with Felipe. And after some time, we figured that it could be fun to just get the band back together and join up on a small side project. And yeah, now we're here presenting the result of that.
As for me, I heard about Dash as a lot of people from a friend. In this case, it was Jan. So we decided to give it a try on different projects, personal and work related.
Awesome. Thank you, Felipe. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about the map filtering system, but let's jump right into that. You can explain it a little bit while you're doing the app demo. So feel free to share your screen and show us this beautiful app that you have. All right, I can see the screen.
Oh, you're muted, Felipe.
Okay, there we go. All right, so we wanted to use create the interface and put the map in front and center and use it basically as a filter to what we're going to show in the app to the user. So all the different interactions can be done with it. You can create a dashboard and it will filter out the restaurants that you're looking at, depending on how you zoom or where you focus. Right. There's a nifty component, the viewport, that the API exposes. So we can use that and then use that behind the scenes with Python and Pandas to actually filter out the data sets. Okay, let's get started with the functionality of it. So first, let's zoom in. Let's showcase this functionality. So I'm going to focus on Copenhagen, given that's what I know. So if we focus here and open up the list of restaurants, we can see that they're already filtered out by what you can see. These are Copenhagen restaurants, so it's filtered by that. Here in the map, we're showing all the restaurants available. They have we've encoded the amount of stars that they have in the shape, in the size and the color of the dots. So for example, gold is bigger, that means 3 stars. Then we have silver for 2 stars, bronze for 1, and Bib Gourmand and selected restaurants will be shown with a red dot. On top of it, as you can see, as you hover over the different restaurants, you get a little bit of a tooltip so you know what you're looking at before diving into it. So as you saw before, I have the list view here. This is filtered automatically by what you're looking at in the map. Of course, if you have a wide view, this would be a little bit heavy. So we created this pagination system. So it only loads 7 restaurants at a time. And to show the functionality, let's go to Malmö. So here you can see different restaurants. If we hit the refresh button, we will only see Malmö restaurants. We had to add this refresh button because we wanted it to automatically update them, but that seemed too heavy and a little bit not that useful. So we settled for this refresh button. Now let's go back to Copenhagen. And if we refresh, we see the same restaurants again. If we want to see a specific restaurant, but of course there's a bunch, we can use this list to focus on them. So here I clicked on Noma, and as you can see, it puts it in the center of the view. Then again, you might want to know a little bit more about the restaurant. So you can click the little dot and you will see a description and a profile for each restaurant. So here you can see the number of stars, whether it's green, the address, money, different tags, because the dataset had multiple tags that we could use for the restaurant, and a little bit of a description. Then here you can go to the restaurant site or to the Michelin site for that restaurant. Yeah, so that is the profile, and I'll pass it over to Jan.
Yes. So another key feature of our application is the filtering pane, because as you see, if you zoom all the way out, there's just a bunch of restaurants that are on the map. And the filters should make it easier for the user to really only show or really only see what they're interested in. So for example, now we see the entire map of Europe, and you could go to the filters. And then let's say you just want to see a restaurant that is in Germany. So you can just type in Germany. It should have 1 star, so you could just select 1 star. You could say it should be veggie, so you can just go in there and type in vegetarian options. And let's say it also shouldn't be too pricey, so we just adjust the price filters. So we hit filter, and what we see is only the restaurants that we are really interested in. Of course, you can also just hit the reset button, and that takes you back to the initial view that shows all the restaurants. Then the final feature we wanted to introduce to you is the dashboard. And kind of like the list view, the dashboard has the feature that when you open it, it displays all the points that you currently see on the map. So for example, if you would zoom into Berlin and you click dashboard, you would only see restaurants in Berlin and so on. Now on the dashboard itself, you see you get some like main KPIs, like what's the veggie ratio in this area, or what's the ratio of interesting wines. You also get to see the locations that have the most restaurants. So unsurprisingly, Paris is leading the pack, followed by London. You also get a breakdown of location and cuisine. So you can see, of course, France has lots of restaurants and they're mostly modern cuisine. Germany is kind of interesting because they seem to be crazy about farm to table. That seems to be a very specific thing about the country. And then on the right side, you see a breakdown of price versus rating. So you could see, for example, for the 3-star restaurants, there are 2 that are not crazy expensive, at least not as expensive as the other ones. And you could, again, use this as filters when you go back to the map to really identify those 2 restaurants. The graphs on the dashboard also change depending on how many points are currently in the view. You might see this on the next dashboard that we're going to show. So let's just say we have another use case where we want to see all the veggie restaurants in Southeast Asia. What we can do is we can just pan the map over, kind of focus on Southeast Asia. So we just zoom in a bit. We set the filter again. So let's only select vegetarian this time. We hit filter. So now this is all Michelin restaurants in Southeast Asia that have veggie options. And now you see it's the same dashboard, but it's only showing veggie restaurants in Southeast Asia. And some of the graphs have changed as well. So now in the bottom left, you see a sunburst chart. So there you could even drill down. Let's say you are interested in the restaurants in Kyoto. So you could just click on Kyoto. That opens Kyoto. And now maybe you're interested in 2-star restaurants. So you can click that one. And that's the one restaurant, like the veggie 2-star restaurant that you would find in Kyoto. Yeah, so that concludes the presentation of the dashboard, at least of the main features of it.
Thank you, Jan. Thanks, Felipe. I really like this app, but especially how that filtering system works with the map. You just move the map, refresh, boom, you see the dashboard, you see the restaurants that you're interested in, the filtering system, and if there's too many data points, then it's not a sunburst anymore. It's a bar chart. Really well done, Felipe. Jan, thank you so much for making this and for coming to present it. Now, I did have a question for you too. I know you created a few other apps on your own because you've been working with Dash and probably for a while now. In the interest of time, I'm going to go to our next speaker, but please, in the chat section of this webinar, please feel free to share a few words about your application and the app link if you'd like. Thank you both.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
All right, so now I'd like to welcome Ian to present the incredible Dash app that he submitted to the challenge, which actually focuses on France. Hey Ian, welcome, how are you?
Adam. Hi Adam. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming here and for building this app. Now, Ian, your story is unique in that you have personal experience with Michelin. Can you please share a little bit about that with our audience?
Sure. So I'm a chef and I have been for about 15 years. I classically trained, so I guess you would call that Michelin trained. So I started in 1 stars, went to a 2-star, and I've run a couple of big gourmand restaurants as a senior. And you know, it's a high pressure job. The 2-star job was really hard. There's a phrase in cooking: you're only as good as your last meal. So that's my background with Michelin.
Cool. Ian, why, and specifically for this challenge, why did you choose to participate?
Yeah, so I mean, cooking's always been a passion, but I decided to transition towards a new career path. So I'm a student of applied mathematics and I teach myself data engineering. And one piece of advice you always get is, you know, build personal projects. So the Michelin data set was one of those projects. I've been working on it for a couple of years. And I built another Dash app. So when I saw this challenge, it was just this opportunity to kind of bring it to life. And I wanted to tell a story through data. And I'm a big Francophile, France being the birthplace of Michelin, you know, my app kind of deep dives into that connection.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm pretty excited to see what you have. I know there's a lot of elements in this app, Ian, so feel free to share your screen and,
Sure.
and go over your app for us. I'll let you know as soon as the screen is shared. Gab, take a look at the chat section. Somebody was asking like how long it took some of our app authors to create the app. It'll be interesting to see how long it took you and others.
Okay. Is my screen sharing now?
Not yet, no.
Sorry. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. I'm sorry, guys, because we've just jumped a new platform. So
take your time, Ian.
Yeah, I haven't enabled permissions on my Zoom share. You see.
Do you want to
let me try again.
Exit and rejoin? There we go.
There we go. I think we're
perfect.
in now,
okay,
right?
We see it.
Are we there? Great. Lovely. Yeah, so thanks, guys. So my app is kind of a deep dive into France, and I wanted to explore it kind of by regions and departments. So I've been the data, and I attached geospatial GeoJSON files. So the first ones you see are kind of for regions. So I'm just going to go kind of clockwise around France just to show you in the south, so you can kind of give some context to it. I appreciate people might not really know what a region is, so I also have this search functionality. So let's say you want to just enter a region. So I just entered Toulouse, and we zoom into Toulouse. So it tells us we're in Occitanie. So go on. It also can deal with some kind of minor typos as well. So I'm going to enter Annecy, and we'll go back into Annecy. And again, we can kind of zoom in. So what I wanted to capture here is retaining the zoom level with a filter. So this was a tricky thing to kind of implement. But you can see we're in Haute Savoie. We got a number of kind of star ratings. We got Bib Gourmands, 1 stars, 2 stars, 3 stars, and we can kind of filter them out. So with this search functionality, let's say we're going on holiday to Paris, right? So I'm just going down to Paris, we'll zoom in. We see we've got quite a lot of restaurants in Paris, as you've seen from Jan and Felipe's app. You know, it has the most star ratings. Again, this filter functionality works, but let's say we're lucky enough to be staying on the Champs-Élysées, so we can zoom in into an arrondissement, which is a kind of smaller subdivision of France. It's kind of like a neighborhood or a borough, right? So we'll go in, just filter that out again. Let's have a look at the 3 stars we got in the 8th, and we can click on one, Pierre Gagnaire. We get this nice little restaurant card come up with, you know, cuisine type, price point, address, and we can even visit the website. So there's a lot to explore here, right? So clearing the department obviously returns you back to the start. The idea of this is kind of it's to use concurrently with the other tab I'm going to show you, which is the analysis tab. So information that you're going to get on this tab and things you can then filter back into your guide, into the guide page to kind of learn a bit more. So let's see what we got here. So I've got a coupled choropleth and horizontal bar. So the choropleth on the right, it shows you the total countable restaurants, and then the horizontal bar is aggregated by rating. We can also filter those as well. So I'll filter out the Bib Gourmands and the 1 stars. We can drill down a little bit more. So if we select a region from above, so I'll select Ile-de-France, and we can go and see we're now in the department section of Ile-de-France. Again, we can also filter, and these filters are completely independent. We can do it one more. So we'll go into the neighborhoods of Paris, choose Paris as a department, and again, we're in the same. And we can see 8 Élysée, 7 2 stars, 5 3 stars, and that's what we were looking at in the guide page. And now, obviously, there's 13 regions in France and 96 departments, so there's quite a lot to explore, right? 2 stars and 3 star restaurants are really special, so I wanted to just show how special they are and give people like a chance to find a data point that's interesting to explore, right? So you can filter by 2 and 3. You can select granularity. So I'll select arrondissement, and then I can show my little restaurant cards again. And this is again just to give users like a little bit of interesting things that they can explore. Like maybe I'm going to go back and check out the Savoie, Gironde, Rhone, or Auvergne, for example. My next section is on Michelin stars and the economic health of France. So I've merged the data set with some data from INSEE, which is the French Institute of Economics and Statistical Studies. So here we've got another choropleth map, but it's actually a Go object, like a Plotly graph object, with a very, very plain type, right? So I'll just show you a metric that we can select. Let's do GDP per capita. And it brings up a coupled bar chart, which is going to show the French mean. And then it's going to aggregate it by region. So we can see from here, from both that Ile-de-France is an outlier. We can remove Ile-de-France and we can get another kind of perspective on that. I'll bring Ile-de-France back. And we can also drill down into individual regions, which is then going to show by department within the regions. And we can see we have some variation, right? In the Rhône-Alpes, we've got Rhône, Lyon, which is obviously the second biggest city in France. So it's interesting to do that. And we can do the same with Ile-de-France. We can also overlay starred restaurants on this map. I'll bring it back to the All France page. And we can then again filter them. So this is a very, very quick overview, but it's just, there's quite a lot of interesting information to explore here, I think. I'll just show you guys one more metric. We'll go for population density. And then you see there, we haven't got the weighted mean because it doesn't make sense in that context. And my last section I want to show you guys is interesting, I think, to me, because I think French gastronomy, I think wine. So this is an exploration of wine regions. So I got another standard Plotly graph object map, and I've overlaid shapefiles of wine regions. You can also show regional outlines and add starred restaurants. And again, filter them. So to remove the 1 stars, remove the 2 stars. Let me get rid of the regional outlines and bring those back and remove them. So this connects to OpenAI API. So if you click on a wine region, let's zoom into Bordeaux here. It's interesting because we got a couple of 2 stars in Bordeaux, right? And if you click on the shapefile, we connect to OpenAI API, which extracts a little prompt that I've written, basically asking about Grand Crus, grape varieties, etc. You know, we can try to outline as well. This is using GPT 3.5, which is a bit of a compromise on my part, but I actually think the information we get from it is pretty cool. And yeah, so, you know, we've explored Bordeaux now. We can go back in our graphs, we can enter Bordeaux. And yeah, we can see that we have some proliferation, but now we understand it in the context of wine. But yeah, anyway, guys, I hope that was pretty much all I got to show for my app. So thank you for allowing me to show it.
Ian, thank you so much for doing this. Well, one thing I just wanted to say, I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you, but beyond how sophisticated your app is and how rich it is in data, I like how you provide context and text to it, like explanations, right, through paragraph as well. Okay, this is what you're seeing, this is how you search. Like, you're really like hand-holding the user, which is kind of you. It's really cool to see.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Adam. I mean, I've had some feedback from UX designers like, you're using too many words. And I was like, well, you're not thinking of it as an interactive essay, which is what it is. Right. But yeah, it's nice of you to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've seen a lot of good positive comments in the chats about your app. Awesome, great, really cool app. So anyway, Ian, thank you so much for joining us. We are creating the app and sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
You're welcome. Moving on, I'd like to call Gab to the stage to walk us through his app that not only does a great job exploring the data, but also has a beautiful design. Gab, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Adam, for having me.
You're welcome. I think this is the second time or third that you're with us with the webinar showcasing one of your apps. I love your apps. Gab, let me jump into the this question that I had for you, which is, first of all, I wanted to congratulate you on your new role at Databricks. And I understand that you use Plotly within Databricks as well. Can you talk us about your new role and how Plotly comes into play in Databricks?
Sure. First of all, thank you. Yes, I'm currently working as a solution architect on at Databricks. And in my role, basically, I support the sales organization to guide our clients in adopting the Databricks data intelligence platform. And especially my focus is on more the technical side, on machine learning and GenAI use cases. And Databricks is very well known to support data scientists, data engineers. But recently we are seeing also a lot of non-technical users who want to, let's say, consume data products. And that's where Plotly comes into play, because of course, myself often include a front-end component in our demo or our data products. And basically these are mostly built with Plotly Dash, either through notebooks that we have on Databricks or web application from the Dash framework. And then we can integrate, of course, this front end with models or data that is on Databricks.
Cool, Gab. Thank you. Now, your app is unique in that you generated embeddings on restaurant descriptions using models hosted on Hugging Face. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that with our audience?
Yeah. This this slide actually gives a little bit the idea of the architecture of the app. On the right side, we have just a refresher for what's an embedding, basically starting from text, and in this case, restaurant descriptions that were part of the dataset we've been working on. We can convert and generate these words, these vectors from the descriptions. And today we have advanced LLMs which are trained to generate long vectors which capture semantic information of the description. So when an app user launch a query through the app, my idea was to create basically a semantic search engine, which basically provides restaurant with descriptions that match the user query. And of course, to do that, I had first to generate embeddings for all the restaurants, make it part of the dataset of the app, and then within the app there is a callback, which is using a function to call the Hugging Face API to embed the user query, and then compare it with the restaurant vectors and see like which one are close enough to match. So that's how it works.
Cool, Gab. Thank you for, like always, for educating us. Love it. All right, I'm gonna give you the stage to share your app and show us what you've built. I'll let you know as soon as you're
sure. So
sharing. 1 second, it's loading. Okay,
yeah,
we have it.
should appear. Yeah, so this is the landing page of the app. It has it's a multi-page app, so we actually have two sections, but the first one is actually the search engine, and it works like for now. It just shows all the restaurants in the data set. We can apply some filters using the fields we have from the data set, and if we apply any filter, basically the query will prioritize filters, so it will show us results only from matching values. But for now, we can basically type any sentence we want. So for instance, if we are looking for great food, but also, for instance, wines from South America, we can start the search. It will embed our sentence, and it will show our first our top 30 results. So we have a metric which is the cosine similarity, and it goes up to 1. So we want to look for similar results with this purple color. And if we select the first one, we can see that it picked a Peruvian restaurant in the Netherlands. And it should talk about wine in the description to actually, yes, match our search. So that's basically the quality of the embedding that captures all this information. Yeah, and then we can navigate the map, we can apply some filters, and in these cards we have more information like the websites of these restaurants. Also, we also have another section, which is the Insight page. It works similarly with the filters. And here I basically created some KPIs and created a visual component out of them. I grouped them into a few sections. I think the most interesting one is the one from the cuisines, where we actually see some KPIs related to cuisine. So here I think, yeah, it got a little bit slow, but basically we have cuisines by countries. We have popular cuisines. I think the most curious results were like that modern cuisine is really popular across all the restaurants. But if we look at how many stars every cuisine receives, it seems like creative cuisines are winning. So that's very, very curious. And then we have a pricing section where we see like how expensive are different cuisines. It seems like steakhouse are quite expensive. And that's the app.
Thank you, Gav. Yeah, and that creative part, I think you're onto something. That use of a description of the app, of the restaurant being creative. We'll see that with Neil's app next, how that relates to or correlates to a number of stars. So thank you for showing us. Before we let you go, quickly, how can one leverage Databricks into Plotly applications in the context of data science?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, everything that you create on Databricks, can it be either a data engineering pipeline or a machine learning model? It reachable through APIs, and of course, Plotly Dash offers the possibility to code in Python, so you can use REST APIs to link your app to or any callback that you develop to Databricks. So typically what we see is that nowadays with like large language models or anyway very big models with a lot of parameters needs powerful virtual machine to host them. So what you can do is actually keep models on Databricks, which allow to store them and expose them via REST APIs, and then use your web application to host the front end and the logic to query that model, and then the visual components, of course. So then you can use Plotly with like all the freedom of choosing your components.
Awesome. Thank you, Gab. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So for the next app, I'd like to welcome Niels. This app has many cool features, but what I personally found intriguing about the app was the countries and the cuisines data exploration part. Niels, how are you?
Hi, Adam. Thanks. I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming. Niels, before we jump straight into your app, what motivated you to build this specific app for the challenge?
Well, I'm visiting the forum quite often to check for technical solutions or new add-ons. And this was actually when I came across the Autumn App Challenge. And when I discovered that the data came from the Michelin guide, I just had to play with the data set. Because when I was a kid, I was and traveling with my parents and brothers. My dad always used to have this old school Michelin guide book with him, and checking out restaurant recommendations close by and choose a restaurant for us to eat. Um, so the basic idea behind my app is less an analytical app, but more like a travel companion that anyone would use who's like interested in restaurants.
In other words, you just wanted to relive your childhood. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, kind of.
Cool. All right. Well, you did have a pretty cool app. Let's go ahead and see it. Feel free to share your screen.
Yeah.
1 second. It's loading. Okay, we have it.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, I used Dash Mantime to build that app to get the nice layout and the components. So it's a really nice library just for the layout and style. It's pretty fast. So this is the landing page and of this multi-page app. And you get some basic information about the data set, like how many countries we have, how many restaurants, and some like how many restaurants of specific types we have. And then we have this map here where each restaurant of the data set is marked with a marker. The size of the marker depends on the awards, so the number of stars, for example, and you can pan and zoom somewhere and explore the area. And of course, you can also click on a restaurant like this 1-star restaurant, and this will open a modal with some more information, which are also taken from the data set. So you have the name and the award, and you have a basic description of the restaurant, and you have some features of the restaurant, like for example, they have a terrace here, and you can park your car. And we have 2 rows of buttons here. So the first row is just links to, for example, the website of the restaurant. And you can start a Google search of the restaurant. So maybe you're interested in reviews or the history of the restaurant or whatever. And then you can also go to the official Michelin guide page of that restaurant. And then you have 2 more buttons, and these are a bit special. So the first one is called Plan My Day. So it actually does that. It passes the name of the restaurant and the city to a large language model and asks for, plan your day in that city around your visit to that restaurant. And this will open a modal and give you a schedule of what you can do in that city at what time. And sometimes you have some really interesting historic information about the city, actually, in case you didn't know before. But maybe you called that restaurant and you didn't get a table. So in that case, you have to look for alternative restaurant in that area. And since we have the longitude and latitude information about the restaurant in the data set, we can pass the data set to GeoPy, a nice package. And you can calculate the distance from that restaurant to all other restaurants in the data set. And by clicking the button here, the calculation is done live, so it's really fast. And we get the top 5 restaurants close by with some basic information like the name, the distance, the price range, the award. And then you have 2 buttons for each restaurant. So in case you call them and you book the table and you want to drive there, you can start your Google navigation from here. So it starts the Google map, and you can, go to your car and drive there. But to make the trip a bit more entertaining, you can click on that button and it will pass a prompt to a large language model again and ask for 3 songs that have something to do with that city and country, so that you have some music on your trip. And yeah, so obviously some French songs here. All right, so this is like the core, the heart of the app, but also added 2 more pages with some analytics. And this is something I really, really like about Plotly. This is a subplot of bar charts, which is essentially, it's a bit like a heat map, but with bars. Because you have this synchronized axis. So you have the countries here on the x-axis, and then you have some metrics on the y-axis. It's mostly counts of like the total counts of restaurants and the restaurants of special with a special award. You can immediately spot special things like, for example, we have France, Japan, Spain, Italy. And when you go down, you can actually see that Spain and Italy don't have a 1-star restaurant, which is kind of surprising, at least for me. And you have the mean price niveau, which is of course a bit different from country to country. And I also put the population with pi country and pi population to get the country code and then the population from the code. To just so for example, China has a lot of people living there, but they actually don't have that many star restaurants. And on the second page, I analyzed the cuisine description of the restaurant, again with a subplot of bar charts. And it's basically the same. So you count for different kind of restaurants, but this time you count the words that are used in the description of the cuisine. And this is actually kind of interesting because when you look at all restaurants, it's pretty obvious that the description modern for the cuisine is very popular, and it stays popular when you go up with more and more stars. It gets smaller and smaller, and you have other attributes which are more important, like the creativity of the cuisine, which is actually the most important feature of the cuisine and for 3 stars. And you have other words that are not used that frequently when it comes to star restaurants, like traditional. So it kind of, yeah, it seems like the better the restaurant gets, the less like traditional it is. So yeah, I was speeding up here a bit, so I think we're still in time, but that's actually
That's
it
perfect.
about my
Niels, that's perfect. I love that little touch of the music. I want to go to a city in Italy and I want to see restaurants, but I want to drive and I want to listen to the regional music. Boom, just click on that button and I see it, and I see the list. Thank you,
Yeah.
Niels, so much for sharing the app with us and joining us today.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you everyone for speakers, especially for walking us through your Dash apps. And for the next section, over the next 3 minutes or so, I want to highlight a few upcoming events that I'm sure most of you are going to be excited about. First off, I'm excited to share that we will be having a product launch webinar on January 22nd. We will be sharing a new AI chat interface within our App Studio product and new capabilities within Dash Enterprise that will help bring your data your data app to production. Additionally, we'll be sharing library updates with the release of Dash 3.0, Plotly.py 6.0, and Plotly.js 3.0. And you can reserve your spot for this webinar in the link that my colleague is going to share shortly. Thank you, Jeannie. All right. In addition to our product launch, you can also join the Plotly community meetup, where we come together to share open source updates, our app creations, and feedback. In fact, our next meetup, Plotly meetup, is going to happen on December 19 instead of the 26th because of the holidays. I think at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be the last meetup of the year, and community members are going to join and talk to us about their favorite creations, apps, and components as they build. Also, you're going to hear from Plotly staff from our libraries team about our open source updates. If you'd like to join our monthly meetups, just email me. It's adam@plotly.com. Again, it's adam@plotly.com. I'm going to share it here in the chat. There we go. And I'll send you the calendar invite. Another way to stay up to date with the latest Plotly and Dash developments is to sign up to our free Dash Club newsletter. By signing up, you're going to learn about future app building challenges, feature releases, and webinars. If you'd like to receive the newsletter, just click the link that my colleague is going to share in the chat section for Dash Club. Now, we also run Plotly Hangouts every last Wednesday of the month. Hangouts are a place for community members to hear from data scientists and ask them questions live. The next Hangout is January 29th at noon Eastern time. To sign up for that, just click on the link, another link that's going to be shared here in the chat section. Okay. Let me share that right here. Couldn't see it. Plotly Hangout. There we go. And this is Dash Club in case you want to sign up to our, there we go. Thank you, Jeannie. All right. Lastly, we have our Plotly, one of the newest Plotly initiatives, where it's Figure Fridays. This was launched a few months ago, and the goal of Figure Friday weekly datasets is to allow community members like you to enhance your Plotly skills, collaborate among other community members, and share your creations with the world. All of this while developing your personal portfolio of data visualizations and apps. think we had like 30 different posts with like 15 different apps and figures in this last Figure Friday, week 49 that we have. So if you want to join the initiative any Friday, please visit the Figure Friday tag on the forum using this link that I'll share right now. There we go. All right, folks, unfortunately, because we started just a little bit, a few minutes late because of the technical issues, we didn't have time, or we're not going to have time to get to the questions by our audience members. But please rest assured that we will send an email responding to your questions later this week. Thank you again to everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of the week. Bye, everyone.